Hi guys, and today I've got for you the Audi Q3. This is not just a regular Q3, this of course is the Q3 Sportback. What's the difference? I'll tell you, but before I do that, make sure that you're subscribing to youtube.com/Brown Car Guy. Make sure that you follow me on all social media channels. Just search for hashtag Brown Car Guy, as you can see it there on my hat, and of course subscribe to browncarguy.com. Now, as I was saying, it's obviously got a sleeker, more coupe-like profile, if you can say that about a crossover, which is essentially what this is. Perhaps an SUV, but probably more like a crossover. It's definitely got a more meatier, more muscular stance about it, even though the fact is that it's fractionally narrower than an Audi Q3, but the illusion I think is done by the fact that it's been lowered by nearly 5 centimeters and it is slightly longer. It is definitely the better looking car. What you're thinking is that, are you paying more for looks over practicality? Well, maybe. Well, that's what we're going to look into. The fact is though, it is a good looking car. It does look quite muscular. And talking of muscle, under here, well, it comes with a range of engine options, but this one's the 45 TFSI petrol. So it's got a 2-litre turbo putting out 230 brake horsepower. It's good for 145 miles per hour and 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. In terms of fuel consumption, they say combined cycle is about 32 miles per gallon. And in terms of emission, if you're interested, it's about 200 grams per kilometer. That's for the CO2. Right, well, as usual, let's check out the practicality by checking out the boot first. It looks as good from the back. In fact, I think that the rear 3/4 angles is actually better on this car even than the front. It's got quite a chunky presence about it. So powered tailgate, of course, on this well-spec'd car. And honestly, I don't see that I'm losing much space in terms of boot space over an SUV. I mean, that is pretty gargantuan. There's a very high space here. There is a bit under the floor. It's all full of compartments and stuff to store things. I mean, you've got tire repair kit and stuff like that, so that saved a bit of space. But you know, there's plenty of room there. First aid kit as well back there. The floor is about the same height as the bumper, so it's not a big lip to get over. A little bit of storage space there, plus a power supply. There's also a net back here, and of course you've got the split folding rear seats. Now, looking at the specs, it doesn't seem like you're losing a great deal when it comes to luggage space compared to a Q3. So again, you're thinking style over fractional amounts of space. I think style wins, but the question is, has it compromised the rear seating area? And as 6'2", let me see how I fit in the back of this car. Here we go, we're in the back of the Q3 Sportback, and like I said, I'm 6'2". This driving seat is set for my driving position. No issues at all. Check this out. I got a little bit of room left. There's a scoop out here for my knees, which is quite handy, but I actually don't need it. I've got a little bit of room left there. Got nets down there. Got plenty of wiggle room for my feet, which is always good. No issues at all whatsoever. And even in terms of headroom, it's right up against it. Actually, now that I look at it, it is right up against it. So it's borderline, but it's not causing me any issues. Okay, you might feel it brushing the top of your hair, but that'd be, unless you've got a really tall standing hairstyle, then that might be an issue. But otherwise, it's not really a problem. So very handy down here. I mean, you've got some pockets down here, some cubby boxes down there, door pocket, like I said, nets. You've got individual vents back here, which is always very, very handy. No USBs, but you have got that. And of course, you've got an armrest. There you go. Took a bit more effort to open that than I thought. And pop-up cup holders, which is quite nice. I like the way they've done that. Also, Isofix Chelsea anchor points, of course, as you would expect. And up here, some map reading lights or reading lights or whatever you want to call them. Anyway, so that's quite good. It's very nice back here, to be honest. It's nicely done. It's typically Audi. What's it like in the front? I suspect it's quite good. Let's find out. Here we go. In the Q3 Sportback, check that out. Okay, starter button is down there. I must say, this is a bit odd just this layout here. And now Audi layouts are normally excellent. They are normally the things that other people copy. But I find this really odd, this kind of blank strip here where they've got the volume control on this side. Admittedly, that's kind of for the passenger because there is a volume control here on the steering wheel and a starter button, and the rest of it is a blank plate. So I don't know, it feels like there's something missing there. Anyway, foot on the brake, starter button. There you go, full digital display. And of course I need that volume knob now. Comes on from there. One of the things I discovered about this is that of course it has Apple CarPlay, probably hooked up to my phone now that I've started it up. The interesting thing is, I mentioned Apple CarPlay and it's hooked up to my phone, wireless. So this is, I guess, a new feature now available on Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, is that normally you have to plug them in. In this case, you don't. It just once you fix it, once you Bluetooth it, it will just do it. Of course, there is a charger, wireless charging point down there. 7-speed Tiptronic on this. They still call it Steptronic, S-Tronic now, don't they? On this car. AC, obviously. This is a full digital dash. Of course, you can change the view like you can on most of the Audi iCockpit things that they do. In fact, let me just run through the car. You've got, as you'd expect, cup holders, 2 USBs down there. That's quite handy. Drive select mode. That's of course when you can set up the car how you want it. Efficiency, comfort. I normally like to keep it in individual. And in the individual, I like to keep the drive system dynamic. Suspension I like to keep comfortable, and the steering in dynamic. But we can try some of the modes on the go, but they're not going to make a huge amount of difference. There is traction control there as well. It is an SUV. Cubby box, I've got my hand sanitizer and my sunglasses down there, and a couple of little trays, a little tray there as well, and as well as that. Let me go through the spec. Now this car will cost you just over £39,000, and by the time you spec'd it up to this level, which has got things like driver assistance pack, it's got adaptive suspension, it's got matrix LED headlights, front and rear indicators, dynamic front and rear indicators, storage pack, ambient multicolor lighting, a comfort sound pack, it's got tow bar preparation, body color, paint finish, full body color. Well, I mean, it should come with paint finish, shouldn't it? Anyway, that's £250. It's got a glass sunroof. It says panoramic, but I hardly call that panoramic. It's decent size. It doesn't open to a decent size, so it opens to about 2/3 of that, but it's all right. And it's got 19-inch 7-spoke alloy wheels, electrically adjustable front seats, Alcantara grey interior. Very nice it is too, with the S-Line badging on there as well. Park assist, it's got reversing camera, so if I do that, you can see all of the assistance there that's available for parking and reversing, and of course the Audi phone box, and of course the virtual cockpit. That takes it up to over £51,000, and at that point you're wondering, well, the Audi RS Q3 Sportback I think starts at around £50,000, and for that you get 400 horsepower. So it's quite tempting to think, well, yeah, why am I getting a spec'd up version of that when I can get more performance with that? But the trouble is that, of course, then you buy an Audi and you'll probably end up speccing that as well. Although it'll probably come with better kit, but you'll probably still end up speccing it up, and you'll probably still end up spending £56,000 on that, I should guess. I'm just guesstimating. In which case, I'd still be tempted for that, actually. But anyway, that's besides the point. Again, no compromise at the front here regarding space, comfort. I got loads of room. I am very, very comfortable. Good seating position, good driving position. Got powered seats, good cubby box there. There's a pocket, little pocket there. Remote for opening the boot from here. Your typical Audi switches. There's your remote. The light, again, it's a bit bare here. It's a bit bare panel, but I guess it's all on automatic, so you don't really have to do very much. There's the cockpit, there's the rest of it. Frankly, I think the only thing to do now, we've proven that it is actually, doesn't lose anything in terms of comfort and practicality. So what's it like on the go? So let's give this a go. It's wet now, but I shouldn't be concerned because I'm in a Quattro. This is a Quattro. This is all-wheel drive. So let's give it the, oh, wow. Okay. Not bad. It took a while for the turbo to kick in. Got up to revs to about 2.5, I think, is when it actually happened. So let's see. Yeah, just over 3 in this case, now that we're moving. Leaving it in full automatic. Leaving it in my mode that I've got because these are quite bumpy roads. So suspension comfort is probably the best thing to have. I mean, to be honest with you, this is a car that is core competencies, braking in the wet, solid, really good. Again, the acceleration took a while for that turbo that comes in, and gear changes very smooth, very imperceptible, no issues whatsoever. Very assured handling, as you'd imagine, on this vehicle. And this is the thing about this car. It's exactly as you would expect it to be. I mean, again, look at this. Absolutely. I mean, it doesn't feel like you're in a high-riding vehicle, actually. So the notion that you're going to lose out in terms of handling and stability because you're in an SUV is not really there, because actually it feels it feels like a hatchback, to be honest with you. So it doesn't have that sense of oh my goodness, we're in a tall SUV or anything like that. I've been driving it on some really bumpy roads now, and I've been finding some little lanes in the countryside and stuff like that, and which have been terribly bumpy. But I've not felt any of that in here. It feels like a wide car from behind the wheel, but we know that it's not. We know that actually it's narrower than the regular Q3. So hasn't been an issue so far. I think you just have to get over the fact that it feels like it's a biggish car because you're sitting in an Audi SUV is your perception, but in fact it's not that big. It's like I said, it goes back to the whole idea of it feels like more of a hatchback than anything else. All-round visibility is not bad at all. You are sitting tall a little bit in this car. Of course, you have the cameras. The mirrors are pretty good. They're adjustable. They fold in as well, and you can easily adjust them when you want to reverse and stuff like that. So you can point them down, get some good visibility from them. Quite airy with the slider open or the shutter open on the sunroof, so that's not too bad. And overall, the steering, like I said, I've got it on the meatier setting, but it's still very light. I mean, I don't want it any lighter than this, to be honest with you. So I think it's absolutely fine. Decent response, decent. It's not sharp. I wouldn't say that it's sharp. It's really not set up to be like that. But it's accurate. And no feel, of course, no response, no idea of what's actually going on. I mean, this is not that sort of car. So, but it does, it does the job. It does exactly what you need it to do. So, but again, it's like this. It's the assurance of being in these little roads like this, which are very dirty, very slippery, very wet. But I'm in an Audi Quattro essentially, so that's not really a problem. So it's just stuff like that where you may have a little bit of a concern, but it's not really too much of an issue. Again, I've just stopped just to let somebody through, but I didn't really need to. I think it was fine in terms of the space that's available. Performance. So it's just that initial the turbo. I wouldn't say turbo lag, but it's just a momentary hesitation or a momentary takes a second or two, and then of course that kick down as well. There's no paddles on this. So again, no pretension of it being a sports car by putting in paddles. You could manually shift that, if you wanted to. So if we put it down into manual first, I mean, still that just slight hesitation. But it's back in automatic. Or is it? No, we are now in neutral. There you go. You have to get used to it. I mean, again, paddles are better for this sort of thing, but not really too much of an issue at all. And like I said, for most purposes, performance is absolutely fine. Again, just punching it here, and the fact that it's wet and slippery and dirty, not an issue. There's no movement at all. It tracks straight and true. It's very assured. It's very stable, but it's not sporty. Let's be honest. So there you go. I think that we can wrap this up with the conclusion that this is all about style. You get this car because you think you want the Q3. The Q3 fits your needs, but you want something that looks a little less, dowdy, something that looks a little bit more exciting, and this is that car. Now, if you actually wanted sportiness, then, and you're willing to forego a little bit on the spec and the equipment maybe, or spend quite a bit more, then really you need to go up to something like, that car that I mentioned earlier, the RS Q3 Sportback. Or you could just go, well, if you're going to get up to the 50 grand that you're spending on this, and you get a base level one of those with 400 horsepower, then that probably will be a more sportier drive. But there you go. Overall though, I think this is the car to get if you want the Q3 but you want something a bit more sporty looking, but you don't necessarily want to be thrashing it around, you just want to have the looks and the tech, then this is the car to get. So there you go. There's my review of the Audi Q3 Sportback 45 TFSI with a Quattro and 7-speed S-Tronic. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think of the car, the review, anything else. Make sure that you are subscribing to youtube.com/Brown Car Guy, and make sure you're following me on all social media channels. Just search for #Brown Car Guy. You can see my hat there, see? And if you, and of course, browncarguy.com. Don't forget to subscribe there. If you enjoy my content and my videos, then maybe you can support me on patreon.com/Shazad Sheikh, and there you'll find some exclusive content and maybe also some goodies, like for example this hat. Thanks so much. If you can, if you can't, please continue to like, share, comment, all the rest of it. Much appreciated. Thanks so much for watching this, and I'll catch you again soon on the next one.